Good morning, everybody. This is my second video, and in my first video, I have discussed the three paragraph of the story, the three question written by Leo Tolstoy. So now, before moving to the next paragraph, let us recap the main points of this story once again. There was a king in Russia. Once came three questions in his mind. The three questions were: what is the right time for every action? Who were the most necessary people and whom to avoid? And what is the most important thing to do? So these three questions came in his mind, and he thought that if I knew the answer of all these three questions, in that case I will never fail whatever I undertake, and I will become a very successful king. So the king announced in his kingdom that whosoever will give the answer to my three questions, I would give them a reward. Many learned men came to the court of the king and answered differently. Regarding the very first question, what is the right time for every action? Some scholar said that if you want to know what is the right time for every action, in that case you have to draw the timetable of days, month and year in advance, and you have to follow it very strictly. Then you will come to know what is the right time for every action. Some other scholar said that it is not possible uh, to know what is the right time for every action. Some other person, it means a scholar, said that a single man cannot decide what is the right time for every action, and one should not be idle, it means lazy. One should have a council of wise men who would help to fix the proper time for every action. So different scholar gave different answer regarding the very first question. Some said that only magician can know what is the right time for every action. Equally various were the answer to the second question. Some said the people the king most needed were his counselors, other the priests, other the doctors, while some said the warriors were the most necessary people. So regarding the second question, who were the most necessary people and whom to avoid, some scholar replied that counselors, it means the member of council, are the most necessary people. Some said the priests, some others said the doctors, while some said the warriors were the most necessary people. To the third question, as to what was the most important occupation. Occupation means here job. Some replied that the most important thing in the world was science. Others said it was skill in warfare, and others again said that it was religious worship. So, regarding the third question, what is the most important occupation? Some scholar replied that the science was one of the most important thing. Others said that it was a skill in warfare. It means the technique how to fight in the battlefield. Some said that it was religious worship. All the answers being different, the king agreed with none of them and gave the reward to none. Here, reward means prize. So, the king was not satisfied with the answer of all the learned men, and he did not give the reward to anyone. But still, wishing to find the right answer to his questions, he decided to consult a hermit. Hermit is a person who has renounced the world for religion, and that hermit was very famous for his wisdom. So the king decided to meet with a hermit. The hermit lived in a wood. Here, wood means the forest which he never quitted. Quitted means left. And he received none but common folk. Here, folk means people. So the hermit used to live in the forest which he never left, and he received only common people. So the king put on simple cloth before reaching the hermit's cell, dismounted from his horse. So what the king did, he disguised himself. It means he changed his appearance, and he got down from the horse, and leaving his bodyguard behind went on alone. So what the king did, he disguised himself, he left his bodyguard behind and went alone to meet with the hermit. When the king approached, here approach means reached, the hermit was digging earth in front of his hut. So at that time the hermit was digging the earth in front of his hut. Seeing the king, he greeted him and went on digging. The hermit was frail. Frail means weak. And each time he stuck his spade into the ground and turned a little earth, he breathed heavily. So, as you know, that the king was very weak, he was old, so he was digging the earth and he was taking long, deep breath. The king went up to him and said, I have come to you, wise hermit, to ask you to answer three questions. Now the king put three questions before the hermit. He said, how can I learn to do the right time at the right time? Who are the people I most need, and to whom should I therefore pay more attention than to the rest? And what appears are the most important and need my first attention? So here the king went to the hermit and put his three questions. The three questions were, what is the right time for every action, so were the most necessary people and whom to avoid, and what is the most important thing to do. The hermit listened to the king, but he answered nothing. He just spat on his hand and recommenced digging. Recommenced means started again. So the hermit did not pay attention whatever the king is telling to him, and he went on digging the earth. You are tired, said the king. Let me take the spade and work a while for you. Now the king told to the hermit that you are tired, give me your spade and let me work for a while for you. Thanks, said the hermit, and giving the spade to the king, he sat down on the ground. The hermit thanks the king, and he gave the spade to the king, and he sat down on the ground to take the rest. When he had dug two bits, the king stopped and repeated his question. Now the king was digging the earth, and during digging, he stopped digging and repeated his question. The hermit again gave no answer, but rose, stretched out his hand for the spade, and said, now rest a while and let me walk a bit. Again, the hermit told to the king that now you are tired, so you take rest and let me do work for a while. But the king did not give him the spade and continued to dig. 1 hour passed and another. The sun began to sink behind the trees. It means the sun was setting also. And the king at last stuck the spade into the ground and said, I come to you, wise man, for an answer to my question. If you can give me none, tell me so, and I will return home. So here the king was digging the ground, and during digging the ground, he put the spade on the ground, and he asked from the hermit that, wise man, I came to you to get the answer to my three questions. If you are not able to give the answer to my three questions, then tell me, I will return home. Now, here comes someone running, said the hermit. Let us see who it is. At the same time, when the king was digging the earth and talking to the hermit, at that time someone came running from the forest. So the hermit told to the king that, see, someone is coming from the forest. The king turned round and saw a bearded man come running out of the wood. Now the king moved and saw that a bearded man who was coming out from the forest. The man held his hands pressed against his stomach, and blood was flowing from under them. When he reached the king, he fell fainting on the ground, moaning feebly. Here, moaning means groaning, crying. So, the bearded man who came running from the oats, he was holding his stomach, and the blood was coming out from his stomach, and he was crying bitterly also. Feebly means very weakly. The king and the hermit unfastened the man's cloth. Unfastened means open the cloth of the bearded man. There was a large wound in his stomach. The king washed it as best as he could. So, what the king and the hermit opened the cloth of the bearded man, and they saw that there was a large wound in his stomach. So, the king washed it as best as he could and bandaged it with his handkerchief and with a towel of the hermit had. So, the king washed the wound of that bearded man with his handkerchief and with a towel of the hermit. But the blood would not stop flowing. And the king again and again removed the bandage soaked with warm blood and washed and rebandaged the wound. So, what the king was doing, he was changing the cloth. When at last the blood ceased, here ceased means stopped flowing, the man revived. Revived means got consciousness and asked for something to drink. The king brought fresh water and gave it to him. Meanwhile means at the same time the sun had set, it means it has become evening and it had become cool also. So the king, with the hermit's help, carried the wounded man into the hut and laid him on the bed. So both the hermit and the king took the bearded man inside the hut and laid him on the bed. Lying on the bed, the man closed his eyes and was quiet. So when the bearded man was laid on the bed, uh, his eyes were closed and he was very quiet. Quiet means he was very calm. But the king was so tired with his work and with the work he had done that he crouched down on the threshold and fell asleep. Now, what happens? The king was so very tired due to his work, and what he did, he crouched down. Crouched means laid down on the threshold. Threshold means entrance of the hut, and fell asleep so soundly that he slept all through the short summer night. So the king slept very deeply. When he awoke in the morning, it was long before he could remember where he was or who was the strange bearded man lying on the bed and gazing intently at him with shining eyes. So, when the king woke up in the morning, it was long before he could remember where he was. It means the king was not uh, remembering that where he was and who was the strange bearded man lying on the bed and gazing intently. Intently means paying full attention at him with shining eyes, and that bearded man was gazing, paying full attention with shining eyes to the king. Now, forgive me, said the bearded man in a weak voice. The bearded man was wounded and he has become very weak, so he told the king that forgive me in a very weak voice. When he saw that the king was awoke and was looking at him. So in the morning, both the bearded man and the king, both of them got up, and both of them were staring one another. And the bearded man recognized the king and asked for forgiveness. And he said, the king said, I do not know you and have nothing to forgive you for, said the king. The king, when the bearded man asked for forgiveness, the king asked that I don't know you, who are you, and have nothing to forgive you for. You do not know me, but I know you. I am the enemy of yours who swore to revenge himself on you. Now the bearded man told to the king that you don't know me, but I know you. I am your enemy and I wanted to kill you and I wanted to take revenge on you because you executed means hanged his brother and seized his property. I knew you had gone alone to see the hermit, and I resolved to kill you on your way back. Now the bearded man was telling to the king that you executed my brother and seized his property, so I was decided to kill you. So what happens? I knew you had gone alone to see the hermit, and I resolved to kill you on your way back. But the day passed and you did not return. So that bearded man was waiting for the king to kill him. So I came out from my ambush to find you. Ambush means hiding place. Here the bearded man was hiding and he came out to find the king, and I came upon your bodyguards and they recognized me and wounded me. So here further the bearded man was telling that I was hiding in the forest and I came out from my ambush and I came upon your bodyguards and they recognized me and wounded me. So that's all for today. I will discuss the next paragraph in the next class. Thank you.